Hello and assalamu alaikum. I am Dr. Khalisa Harris Shahid, founder of the Islamic Library Association. My work focuses on equitable and accurate Muslim representation in library and literary spaces. For National Poetry Month, we're highlighting Muslim poets as part of a broader conversation on how and where these voices are often missing from libraries and programming spaces. Today, I'm here with poet Aasiyah Tiffany, whose work reflects on healing, faith, and transformation, offering intimate and emotionally honest poetry that centers both softness and strength. Thank you so much, Asia, for being here with us today. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm doing good, alhamdulillah. Well, now that we're here, let's just get right into it. Uh, how would you describe your work as a Muslim poet?
So my work as a Muslim poet, I think I am more leaning into the Muslim poet side of things. I want to say in the last 2 years.
Okay.
I've been a poet like all my life. I've always liked writing, and I've used it as a means of just expression and expressing pain and hurt and with Islam mixing with my poetry, I've found a way that to make happiness, with these words, and to create praise with these words, as opposed to just expressing pain. And so that's kind of been my work, to kind of transform like these words into more than just pain, but into gratitude,
Mm.
for even having them.
Lovely. And do you believe that it is important for Muslim voices like yours to be included in libraries and other programming spaces?
Most definitely. Most definitely. I want to say if I saw more representation, first of all, even the fact that there are I remember my journey to Islam became because I met my first Black Muslim, right?
Mm.
I met my own representation. It was someone that was like, "Oh man, this person looks like me." Wait, well, how do you believe that? And it led me
Mhm.
to be curious and to start asking questions and to do so much research. Um, and so I think, yeah, that representation is very important, especially when it comes to our children, and our youths and those who only know by truly seeing, and so since that's such a is a huge way to gain information and to come to certain understandings, yeah, representation is extremely important.
That's very true. So you're saying how you became Muslim by your first representation of seeing a Black Muslim.
Yes.
Have you seen Muslim poets represented? Um, has that inspired you as a Muslim poet, or that was already there? How would you describe that?
So no, as I said, so I've been Muslim for subhanallah. I'm okay, over 10 years now. I've been Muslim for over 10
Alhamdulillah.
years, so alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
And I've been a poet almost as long as I can write, right? But the idea of poetry, it was the same type of poetry, right? And I love slam poetry. But with the poetry, it was like, okay, we have to speak about the war, we have to speak about, injustice, we have to speak about these things. And it because that was the representation that I saw. Um, and then you hear that people like, which is so interesting that people don't even know, like Rumi is a Muslim poet, right? But Rumi is quoted everywhere all the
Mhm.
time by Muslims and non-Muslims alike. Everyone
Uh,
loves Rumi. But what they don't know or realize is that he's a Muslim poet, and there are so many other women Muslim poets that we know nothing about. Like Nana Asmu, like she was a beautiful African Muslim poet that we know nothing about. And I think that when I learned about these people, my resolve to write the type of poetry that connects my faith, my passion, all of it together grew stronger. Like, okay, this is the gift that I was given, and now I'm being inspired on how to use this gift in the way that it needs to be used. So I think it's, yeah, seeing that is representation and having that is very important. Yeah.
and what do you think about when that type of representation is missing? Because, like, you gave an example of Rumi, and everyone quotes him, everyone loves his work, but many people don't know or don't recognize that he's Muslim. What do you think that impact has on people as a whole when the poet's faith or different parts of their identity is missing throughout their work, or
Yeah,
missing to be acknowledged. Not that he never said it. Yes.
right. I think it's a control. It's a control, right? Especially like um libraries, information, public, any place that we get public information, when we are missing as a part of that, then we are not informed. We don't know what we can do. If you're a visual learner, you don't see what you can achieve. You don't see yourself inside of these things, and so you don't think that it is possible for you. So when this representation is missing, it's an extreme disservice, because it leads us to our own miseducation, right? And our own this idea of, okay, I can't do that. Like, as I said, I became Muslim when I saw my first Black Muslim. Prior to that, I thought Islam was an Arab's religion. I grew up in New York. I went to Jamaica High School, right on Hillside Avenue. All you saw was Muslims that were not Black, right? And so it never occurred to me, even though I passed my religion class, it never occurred to me that religion, that this Islam was not the same as being Arab, right? And so the representation, me being able to see that representation, is what brought this knowledge to me. So I think not having that representation, it takes away a huge gem that should be there.
So you're saying not having that representation is disservice to the people.
Yes.
So
Yes.
what would meaningful representation of Muslim poets look like in libraries from your perspective?
So from my perspective, meaningful representation would um would look like seeing Muslims without the chaos, seeing Muslims outside of the tragedies, seeing Muslims outside of the news stories that then become crystallized as history, and then that's the only thing that we know, right? It's seeing Muslims in joy. It's seeing Muslims in happiness, in the dichotomy of who Muslims are, because you're human like everyone else. And I feel like the media sometimes focuses it on one side of our Muslim humanity, and not our entire humanity, our entire being of who we are. So, yeah, I think that would be to see Muslims in everyday life, in representing when they're happy, when they're sad, when they're upset, when they're overjoyed, when they're in grief, like, to see us in all of our humanity. And I think that would be more for representation, as opposed to the symbolic, oh, this person is Muslim, and that kind of drop on the side, but to see them truly in what it means to be Muslim in this day and age.
That is beautiful. So to make sure that we're including some Muslim poet voices, where can people find your work and support you?
Sure. So in developing myself, I am really just getting started, and so I'm on Instagram at Aasiyah Tiffany, and that's where I'm posting most of my work is now. I am working on a book, and I'll announce everything there. And I think I'm just going to use that platform as a means of sharing my poetry, and sharing what I have going on.
I'd really like to just thank you for sharing your work, your time, and your perspective. And conversations like this are an important part of how we begin to think more intentionally about whose voices are present within our spaces and whose are not.
Hmm.
Thank you so much. And I hope you have
Thank
a
you.
great day.
Thank you so much, and you as well. Assalamu alaikum.
Bye. Join the Islamic Library Association, and together we can shape a more inclusive future for literature.